Hello friends, very good afternoon. Today I will show you some of the important functions of the JavaScript that is used lots of time for a developers to reduce their task in a very efficient way. What are those functions? The functions are map functions, the functions are filter functions, the function are reduce function. The three functions I will discuss for today. Okay, these three functions is actually a concept of advanced array. They are concepts of advanced array, the new concept of the advanced array of JavaScript, which is reducing the task of the users. These three functions we are using for that. Okay, now before going to discuss about this function, I want to show something that why they are very much useful and why they were evolved. The reason behind this comes when I will discuss about our uh, simple for loop function. What does the simple for loop function do? Okay, I will show you with an example. First, I will introduce an array that is actually our uh, const. We have an array that have a four elements 1, 2, 4 and 16. These four elements we have inside this array. My task is to make each of these elements double. How can I do this? I can do it very simple operation. We have an idea that we can do it with a very simple operations with the for loop, the double each of this element. So we'll use an for loop here for that task, and that is actually our initialization I equals to 0, I less than how many elements is there, 4 elements. So because it is starting from 0, so I will make it 4. It will go I equals up to I equals to 3, then I plus plus for increment that we do usually. That types of things we do usually. After that, what I will do, I will take each of this element of this array and I will make our operation into 2. But where this operation will go to store? So for that I have to make another array. So I am making another array that is actually blank array, that is actually a resulted array. Resulted array. So I am going to store it here. How can I store it here? I can store it here by double dot push, and each of the element is going to store here. Now after these operations, my new array is ready. I want to see that whether my new array is ready or not. So console.log double. Yeah, let's see that whether it is meeting our expectation. Yeah, we can see here that each of the elements have been doubled. 2, 4, 8, 16 is 32. Fine. So until this now, we are using very simple for loop function. But what is the problem? There is a lots of line I have to write. Second, we have to make sure about another memory location of the array, and user have an hectic to create this array again and to take another, and it will take another memory location. Sorry, I'm talking about this. So again I have to user have to make an another array that is the double, and this is actually our blank array and it will consume in memory, and it is also very and the third thing is it is very much impossible, and sorry, it is very much hectic task for a reader to read that kinds of the line for a very small task. It is very hectic for a reader to read everything. So we introduced another function that is actually for each function. This for each function can do our task. How? inside this array there is a function that is actually for each. This for each function will take a function, and in this function there is a variable that I can define as I wish. I have defined as num. What it will do, this for each function will track each of these elements of the array, and it will send them inside the function. Who can catch it? The num can catch it. Then I can do a operations with this number or with this num of each of this element. So what operation I want to do as our expected result, that is double, that is num into 2. So after doing this, after doing that, I want to store. Let's do it. Let's do it with another. Uh, let's do this double here, and we are doing this equals to double equals to this for each. Whether it will, whether it can meet our expectation or not. Let's see. It will not make it expectation. Means I am expecting that after this operation, it will store every result in this double, and it will take it as an array, and it will take it as array. This double, it will take this double as array. It will store every new operations result. Then I can meet our expected result like 2 4 8 32. So let's understand whether we can do it. How can I do it? How can I see that whether my result is making sense or not? So first I have to save it. Okay, I have saved it. Oops, there is a problem that double before they cannot access double before they, because I have not introduced a double. Oh, sorry. I have not commented out, sorry, this double operation, because I want to see here now. So let's save it and see. Error is not defined. Error. Oh, sorry. Oops. I have also commented out here because, but I need it, right? So let's see it now. It is, yeah. You can see here that I was expecting that after these operations it will store it in this double. It will take double as an array and it will store every operation result, but I can see it is undefined. This double is undefined, means this function is not returning any array or not returning anything. It is returning anything, so it is not making our expectations, uh, that is we want without any new array. Okay, automatically it will create an array, it will store these types of things is not going to happen. So again, what I have to do, I have to make it possible by creating another array, that is actually double array. I am creating a double array, double a new array which is the result array. As before we were doing it with the for loop, now I am doing it the same operation with for each, but I have to again have to store it in the double. So let's do it, that whether it will be, it will happen with double also. So you can think one way. Okay, so you can see that this is also not meeting our expected result, right? So let's see the same thing. If it is happen, you were probably thinking that if I do it return, then it might returning each of this element and storing inside this double, and it is taking it as as a array. So let's see whether your thought is also right or wrong. Before that, I want to comment it out. Same things, it is also undefined, means it is not going to happen after return operation also. So let's understand that whether it is making possible by our by our um, like our previous task, that is by creating new memory operation, new memory, that is actually our double. So by this double, whether I can do the same task or not, like I'm making it as a double, and I'm erasing it right now, and the same thing I am just doing, but instead of for loop I'm just doing here for each loop. Okay, now I want to make it possible. So how can I do this? Double dot push. Oops, okay, double dot push, and each of the element is going to happen. Let's understand that whether it can be possible. Yeah, it is possible. The same thing is happening. 2 4 8 32. Then I can think that it is possible, and I have to create again another memory here. But we don't want this as a developer. We want to reduce our code, as well as I want to make it the as possible as easy to read. Suppose you are in developers and a developer is coming after some time, he also want to see your code, that whether it is that whether it is expecting with our result or not. Then after reading lots of operation like that, it will be so much tedious for him or her. So we don't want this. For this we have introduced a new. Okay, before that I also want to, so that if you know about this function by a command script, the new concept of the javascript, this function have replaced by only this taking variable, and this function is replaced by this arrow. This is called arrow function. This is called arrow function. Okay, when I am doing this arrow function, then I can make a curly brackets. When I am making inside this curly bracket, when I am making more than one line, then I can use this curly brackets. One or more lines when I'm making inside these curly brackets, then I can make then I can use this curly bracket. But if I'm making only one operations, only one line, then to it do not need to make this curly bracket. Only it is fine. Now I can see that by this arrow function how my code also reduced, and it is so much readable. That array, after onto this array we are making for each, and after each of this element we are making some operation, that is double dot push, and it will be stored. It is so much readable, and it is just in one line it is possible. So ECMAScript is a very good concept here. Fine. Okay, so this is actually for each, but that still the problem is happened this one. I have to create another memory. How can I also make it possible without creating another memory by us, by doing this map? The map function is very much useful here. What the map function is doing, it is doing nothing. It will be like our previous operation, like this one, just will make this function as map. So inside the array there is a function map which will take each of this element, and it will do operations like for each, it will do every operations, and it will do the operation on every element like the for each. But it will return something like for each. Unlike the for each, they will not return anything. The map function will return what it will return. It will return the new result, that is double dot push. It will return the new result, that is double dot push, and that I can take, that I catch with the double, by defining this double. Then what it will do, the map will do every operation, and each of these elements after this operation, it will make it possible in the double. Now I do not need this double. And this also I want to comment it out as of now. Do I need this double dot push? No. Now no need this double dot push also, because the map function will automatically push each of these elements after operation onto this double, and automatically it will be taken as array and it will be pushed. What is happening? It is the mapping. It will be mapping each of these elements side by side. For each of the elements side by side, it will operate and it will push into the double automatically without any user interventions, without any user's effort. By creating another memory, it will do its task automatically. That is the actually importance of the map. That is actually uh, that's why we are using this map function. Do I need this double dot push? No, because the stars will be done by map function itself. And okay, this map function will take each of this element and it will do this is task. Fine. Let's understand whether now you can see that how much the code have reduced here. This code have reduced significantly, right? So console.log double, I am checking that whether it, yeah, this expected result I am getting same things with a very few code, right? Again, I also want if I want to reduce, we can also reduce this code by disclose by enclose this bracket also, and close this bracket also, because if we have only one variable that have to pass inside a function, then no need this bracket. Okay, the same thing will happen. Let's see the same thing is happening here. Fine. So this is possible. And this is actually map function. Second function that I want to show you, that is actually filter function. So what the filter function will do? The filter function is basically is like map function itself. It will take each of this element, will pass in a function, but this function will this filter function will be activated only for the uh, conditions, only for checking the conditions. Here instead of any kinds of the statement, it will check any conditions whether it is true or not. If it is true, then only it will store in this new array. If it is not true, this condition is not just true, then it will not store here inside this array. How it is, let's see. So this is actually double we are doing. So instead of this, I want to comment it out. I am checking a condition. So here will be that each element is uh, greater each element will be greater than 5 or not. Okay, so I want to keep it as camel case later, so greater than 5, like that, equals to arr.map. So instead of map, I want to make it as filter. Here filter is the function. It will take each of this element from this array, and it will take each of this element, it will do this operation. But right now the operation will be that where this number is greater than 5 or not, because if it is greater than 5, then only it will return. If it is greater than 5, that only it will return. If it is not greater than 5, then it will not return. So let's see how many elements it's greater than 5 or not by printing here, like console dot log, and this is actually our printing. So yeah, only 16 is our greater than 5. You can see only 16 is our greater than 5. So it is giving the correct result. So in this case, we will use the filter. Fine. Second function, that is actually our reduce. The reduce functions have a syntax. See the syntax carefully. The syntax is, we have an reduce function. Inside the reduce function, they will take it will take the reduce function will take two parameters. The first, it will take a function. Second, it will take a accumulator start value. Now what is the accumulator? If you have read the microprocessor microcontroller very carefully, and if you have done very low level programming language, then you have a good familiarity about the accumulator. The accumulator is basically do the accumulator is basically the accumulator is basically uh, the accumulator is basically store result and make it possible to take the result for further operation. Means we can take the previous operations result, which is very much requirement for further result from this accumulator. The accumulator is basically uh, storing our result, and we can use this result for our further operation, right? So this is accumulator. So this function is like the same here, like filter and map function. It will the reduce function will track each of these elements of this array, and it will give this function this number. But it will not only give this reduce function will not only give the number of the each for the each element of the array, unlike the unlike the filter and map function. It will also give you a value of the accumulator. It will also give you the value of accumulator. So how many parameters it will give? It will give first the accumulator. So I can make it a short term ACC and a number. Fine. Then we can define our function like that. So this is actually our syntax. So it is taking a function which have two parameter. One is accumulator and the number. The accumulator is just the previous stored value. So at the starting of this operation, it will take the value what I have defined here, that is accumulator start value. So this value will be given here inside this function, and the number itself at first will go as 1. So suppose I am giving the starting value as 0. So let's take it as with an example. Suppose the same thing I am taking here, okay, but at this moment I want to give the example of addition. Now the function will be our what? Reduce. Now this is actually our function. So I will make it compress after the operation. First I want to take it like that, like our as usual functions. So what we did, like that, we have a function. The function have two parameters. First is accumulator. So from where at the starting of this, suppose this array is constructed, so it will give each of the element. With this each of this element at the start, in starting of this operation at start, what it will do at first, what it will give at first, it will give 1. With this, along with this 1, it will also give the accumulator value. Which accumulator value it will give at first? What is stored inside this accumulator at the first, that also I have to give. That in first, what is the value of accumulator? Suppose I am giving in start, in accumulator, in start accumulator value is 0. So it will give it as 0. And with the 0, what it will provide? 1. It will give it accumulator as 0 and number is as a 1. Okay, fine. Now what I will do, I want to do operation addition. Suppose I want to do operation addition. So with the accumulator value means the previous stored value which has initialized as 0, that plus is number I have to do. Fine, that I have to return, that I have to return here. Yeah, that I have to return here. So accumulator plus number that I have to return, that will be stored here in the addition. I can do any operation with this accumulator, but the main thing about the reduce is it will make it possible by not only it will give the number of the each of the element of the array, but as well as the previous whatever the operation it have, or whatever the value of the accumulator have, it will also provide it. So along with this number of the each of the element, for the each of the element of the array, it will also provide the previous stored value of the accumulator, so that we can operate with previous stored value like here. So it will create a good function. So this whether my task is complete or not, let's see. Okay, now I want to, so before that I want to make it, comment it out. I want to see whether it is meeting our expected result, means I want to reduce, I want to give, I want to make it addition every element. So console dot log, what is actually our problem, that is actually addition. What is actually our I want to get, it is actually addition. So 2 plus 3 equals to 3, 4, 7, 7 plus 6 equals to 23, 16 plus 7 equals to 23. So whether it is giving 23 or not, let's see. Inspect console. Yeah, this is giving 23, means our operation is right. So in this way, the our reduce function. So let's see what the reduce function is doing. So this is the console.log, this is the addition. Okay, now it will be reduced and it will be reduced. So after that, so reduce function is basically what the reduce function is doing. The reduce function is basically, unlike the map and filter, it will take each of these elements or this array, it will take each of these elements array, and it will not only return, not only pass the each of this element of the array, but as well as it will pass the accumulator. And what is the value of the accumulator, that is actually our initialized as 0 here, and after that it will return what is the value of the accumulator, so that I can do some operations. And second thing is that after this operation, where it is stored, it is again not it will store in the addition, it will store inside our accumulator. Inside our accumulator it will be stored, and after that I can work on this accumulator with the second iteration with the second element. So that is actually our function, that is reduce function. So I want to also let's do it with simple operation, like uh, not use formal operations like this, because we are using here two parameter. So I'm making it like that by this arrow function. Okay, so when I am using this arrow function, no need to give it as return, and I am making it as 0. Yeah, this is actually our array function doing. Just by one line we are doing it as reduce as possible. Make sense, right? So array dot reduce accumulator number, accumulator plus number, and this is 0, and it is going after this. When this operations is done, when this all the elements is done to iterate, then it will store final accumulator to our addition, and it will be our result. Let's see whether it also giving our correct result in 23. Fine. So it is expecting our result. So this is all about our three function, map, filter, and reduce. This is